Hi, everybody. Mike Bloom here, back with more coverage of The Anonymous. Yes, we have emerged. We heard from a lot of you since Pooya and I did our first podcast following the first 3 episodes. Thank you so much for the support, by the way, during the time that we went away. But we have returned as The Anonymous has finished. It aired its finale on Monday night, and we are here to break it all down. So, you can expect a finale podcast from Pooya and I where we talk about the final results, the contestants overall, our thoughts on the structure, what we would want to see in a possible season 2, etc. That's going to be coming a little bit later, but we do have something for you today. Pooya and I were given the opportunity to talk with all of the people who made the finale of The Anonymous. And so, what you're about to listen to are a series of interviews with the final 6 contestants from The Anonymous. They have them grouped up a little bit by where they finished. So, just to outline the order in which we'll go in, of course, spoiler alert for the final results of The Anonymous. Don't listen further if you don't intend to know what went down in that final face off. But we start off with, of course, some true reality royalty in Nina Twine, the winner of The Anonymous. Then we chat with the 3 guys who made the face off and lost out in the form of Andy, Christopher, and Marcel. We talk to them all together. And then finally, we talk with Lily and Victoria, who were eliminated before the final face off, together as well. So those are going to be 3 interviews back to back to back. Again, make sure you're subscribed to RHAP, to We Know Reality TV, and to our YouTube channel, especially to make sure you don't miss the follow-up finale recap that Pooya and I are going to do as well. Very excited to get back in the saddle to talk some Anonymous, especially after that big season that we just had. So, without further ado, let's kick things off with our interview with the winner of The Anonymous, Nina. All right, here we are with the winner of The Anonymous. We knew it was going to happen because, let's face it, you can't spell Twine without W. We've been knowing that for 20 years, and now she's bringing it home for the family. Nina Twine.
No one has ever said Win is in my
There
name.
you
Oh
go.
my
Mhm.
gosh. No one has ever said that. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to get into this because, I mean, when we even got the cast list, it was very surprising to, see a couple of reality people we know making up the cast. And obviously, this was a brand new game for everyone involved. So, talk to me about how you go from, not only 2 seasons of Australian Survivor, but obviously having it a part of your life for so long to signing up for a brand new game.
Yeah, I was presented the Anonymous and I was so intrigued by it because there is no roadmap. You have to create it yourself for the very first time. And I'm not going to lie, I come from a legacy, right? So, what better way to forge my own path than by doing something no one has done all by myself with my own experiences, honing in on that, doing my own research with body language, looking back on my own experiences, learning from certain things that I wish I had done differently or I did amazingly and it worked out really, really well. I was so excited. The Anonymous was a game that I had never heard of. And from the Traitors, the Circle games that I enjoy. So it was just tailor made for me when I read it.
Let me be the first to say it, Nina. I'm so happy you won because you are right. Brand new show, first person to take the W on a show like this. It kind of sets the standard for what we are hoping to see from future contestants. And I'm just so glad that you are the representative for the season.
Thank you. And I appreciate that because I know it's so important to go out into these competition shows, something I even did on Survivor. Have a little bit of fun, enjoy your surroundings, enjoy the people that you're with. But I'm kind of a serious player. I'll enjoy myself. But when we're strategizing and stuff, there's no playing around. Like, let's get to it. So, to be that standard, come in, have some fun, but y'all take this serious because it is stressful out there and you have to be constantly thinking on your toes.
Well, let's get into the moment that made you $80,000 richer. So this final face off, talk to me about this twofold. What made you feel in the moment to take Andy's box? And then simultaneously, once you see Win, how are you trying to really dispel Marcel from taking it from you as well?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be in a face off with three other individuals I've faced off with before and who I actually have decent relationships with. I have been told by Marcel and Andy to take or not take a box from them that actually was going to help or hurt me. They genuinely were telling me that. So I know what they look like when they're being serious. So that helps me know when they're not being serious and they're trying to dupe me. And I'm like, something ain't right here. And that's what I saw with Andy. I said, I've seen this man be very serious, very, very upfront, physically moving with every word he's saying to going as still as a statue. That's really weird. You're also avoiding eye contact. That's really weird. I don't like it. Something in me is saying body language is telling me the very opposite of what he's saying. So let's see if we're right. And we were. Not only that, but seeing the win box, there was so many emotions that I almost didn't have that much of a reaction. Now, don't get me wrong, I was thinking about it, but it
Mhm.
wasn't that hard to kind of hold it in because I am so satisfied I was right. I am absolutely shocked at what I'm seeing. I close it and I'm like, wait, was that real? Did I actually see that or am I tripping? Then I'm thinking, holy crap, there's still one more person that can take this from me. So then that fear kicks in. And so all these emotions kind of go into a neutral state. Don't give anything
Mm.
away. The game is in your hands. If you lose this box, it's on you. So don't lose it.
We got to see, we got to see your social game. We got to see your investigative work like you did with the face off. And Loki, with these challenges, you were cooking this season. You banked a lot of money in that pot. So I have to know how you felt with that last challenge and the last safety and how annoying that must have been.
Yeah, I was very stressed. I went from thinking, holy crap, I'm safe after an
Hmm.
endurance challenge, which I love, to then being like, oh, great, here's another chance at safety with what I'm not strong at, and that's catching. Because I can throw, I
Hmm.
can do some puzzles. I'll give my all in an endurance or anything like that. But catching is not my strong suit, especially when you're running into people, you have all this powder and this confetti in your face. Like it's really hard to see. So I thought to myself, you know what? I know this is not my strong suit. I'm going to try. I looked around after trying for a minute and I said, okay, let's get some money because when I get this jackpot, I'm going to be mad if I'd known I could have added a few extra $100 in there.
Yeah, so you talk about obviously a lot of Survivor carryover. I mean, in my opinion, I'm looking at that face off and I'm thinking about like you having to replay the Sam Sean idol debacle from Australian Survivor over and over again. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, or at least a few, had clocked that you were affiliated with Survivor in some way. Not necessarily as a contestant, but obviously your mom. This is something that Jack had said. I communicate to like Xavier. Chris makes its way back to you. Give me your initial reaction to it. And we saw a little bit of you dispelling it. How were you able to like get that heat off of you?
I was shook. And that was the first time I heard anything about it. So I'm walking around the domain thinking I'm in the clear. Little do I know, they're in the snug talking about it. There's people at the kitchen table while I'm at the couch talking about it. Shook. But luckily enough, doing the research I did with body language and learning, I had my handle told to me to my face. And what was my reaction? Eyebrows up, eyes wide, complete shock, kind of confirming what you're saying. I knew the second I did that, I screwed up. And I thought if anyone ever says anything to me, don't ever do that reaction again. And here I had the opportunity where somebody brought some shocking information to me. And instead of this, eyebrows up, eyes wide, I went scrunched, confused, and looking around like I'm thinking, what? What are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. And even if it did, what does it matter now? And it really played in my favor. I also do think because it was something a secret about a separate individual being my mom, it wasn't as effective as
Right.
if they said I was on Survivor. That would have completely been different. I think that that may have landed a little bit differently, but also I don't think it was spread in an effective way because a lot of people weren't that familiar with Survivor. They know what it is, but they don't know what it takes because they don't watch it through and through. If these were some real Survivor fans, I would have been in super, super, I don't want to cuss, deep stuff.
Would have loved the cuss, but I understand completely. So, Nina, I feel like I would love your firsthand review of this game because brand new show. How did it feel going into, playing the social game? Everyone's being nice. You're trying to make the alliances, the bonds. And then you go into anonymous mode and people are just saying whatever they want to say, unfiltered.
Yeah, I felt it was very entertaining. And for me, even more challenging because something I was thinking was on Survivor, you can forge relationships by putting action behind it. You
Mhm.
can't do that on the anonymous. So this relationship is genuinely based on our communication because I can't tell you who I voted for. I can't tell you if I was the anonymous. That defeats the whole purpose of the show. So if we're getting along, we're actually getting along. And on Survivor, I can hate your guts, but be like, look, for this vote, I'm gonna put a squiggle. So you know I'm not lying to you. So I found that way more challenging, but suited for my kind of gameplay, my natural characteristics. I love talking to people. I could talk to y'all all day till my throat hurts. So that really helps me. And it also allowed me to also, I said also a lot, it allowed me to kind of hide a little bit. I knew in person I can't help the way that I am. I can't help the way that I talk. But when I'm behind my handle, I can be as neutral as possible. Don't tie myself to a gender, to a region, and y'all use whatever, and be more upfront and a little bit more direct. I always made sure I said somebody's name, made an observation that day without it sounding like anyone. I wanted you to always have a list of people that could fall under that handle, not just one or two like a lot of other handles did.
So something that maybe you have in common with this other show is that despite how new the Anonymous is, towards the end game, threats become a big deal. And you get a little streak where Dylan is walking out calling you the champion. You
Oh
have
my
this
God.
entire string of you being the Anonymous and you winning safety through these challenges. So talk to me about that threat management, especially towards the end game when,
Mm-hmm.
it is so ticky tack and so many decisions were made and you weren't the Anonymous those last two times.
Yeah, so something I think is really important to kind of touch on is you don't know your threat level unless you're talking about it. So obviously, I'll take all the compliments. You see the emotion when Dylan is leaving and him and I are talking and he's telling me how he feels. That was real, that was true, and I was so happy to hear it. And to have somebody outside of me confirming what I think and I know I can do. And that didn't bother me. Then you go into the house and somebody brings it up, and you're like, oh, everybody else heard that too. Oh my gosh. And then you kind of see me get upset where I'm just like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Let me ask. Let me ask. I'm not going to sit here and assume and stress myself out when I can just ask. So I say something to Victoria and she's like, what are you even talking about? I say something to Marcel. He made the joke and he's even kind of like, what are you talking about? Because
Hmm.
it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a quick little comment. But I also was able to put it out there like, y'all, you know that that's somebody else's opinion. While I agree with them and I know it's true, that's somebody else's opinion. Okay, actually, I think I'm in the clear, not shying away. There were so many opportunities I had with my previous experience to address something that I didn't because I shied away from it, scared what could come from it. But then that left me with a lack of knowledge. I didn't know what people were really thinking because I never asked and got to see their facial expressions. Look back, both Victoria and Marcel are kind of like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, great, cool, not a big deal. Let's keep it moving then.
Yeah. Last thing, real quick. You said that you're coming for your mom's crown once again now that you've got your own W. Is that your next path for you? If you had your pick of the litter as to the next show you want to stop off on your reality TV resume, what would it be?
Traitors is number one, point blank, period. Survivor can give me a call too, just saying. But the Traitors would be amazing because I feel like I learned so much from my Survivor experience. I applied it to the Anonymous. it obviously worked, but also I had this confidence. I always had it there, but I would kind of push it back, second guessing. I said, this time around, we're not second guessing, because if we don't get it and you second guess yourself, you're going to be so upset. Screw it, do it. I don't care what it is. So I have this newfound confidence that's not going anywhere that I think would be amazing on the Traitors.
Hell
Would
yeah.
love to see it.
I was gonna say Puya's our traitors guy, so I think you're just manifesting a dream for him.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Nina, it was such a dream getting to chat with you as always. I mean, you are such a star. Reality TV is quite literally in your blood, and I'm glad you were able to shed some blood in this brand new game. I mean, to Puya's point, like the first season of a show, it's always interesting to see how people operate within it, but you were able to put together a really dynamic game that obviously paid off in dividends. And I think whether it's the anonymous or like what's to come on your reality TV career, this is such a welcome step in it. So once again, huge congratulations
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
entire experience.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad I was given this opportunity, because I knew I had it in me. I just needed that opportunity to show myself, along with everyone else, that Nina is here.
There we go. Well, we have to go, so you're going to stay here. But thank you so much, Nina. Always great getting to chat with you, and all the best to you
Thank
and
you.
yours. Thanks so much again.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You
Take
too.
care,
Bye.
Nina.
Well, I'm thrilled to be talking with we could call them the three amigos of the Anonymous, at least when it came to
We're honored.
Appreciate it.
yeah, the
Appreciate it.
final face off here. We've got Andy, we've got Chris, we've got Marcel. I mean, there's a lot to get into between you three. I have to start though with Andy. I mean, everyone has a reason for coming on this show. And you mentioned a couple times that, you had sort of been regarded as a quote unquote loser in pop culture, and this was an opportunity for you to be a winner. Is that the reason why you signed up to do reality television? Talk to me about what led you onto the Anonymous.
Think I wanted to change the narrative of the Andy King of today. Obviously, social media, you know the power of social media, and you know the power of pop culture today. And so I can still go places where people point and go, that's the scam guy from Fire. That I'm like, what? No, I'm the guy that tried to save a music festival in the Bahamas. I am not the guy that was scamming anybody. But I'm like, what can I do? And when this opportunity came up, I'm like, wow, think of the millions of viewers who are now going to get to know the real Andy King. And so I really feel like I accomplished that. Obviously, we joke with the boys, and I'm like, I was kind of like Joe Biden for the first 4 episodes, wandering around lost. And then I became Donald Trump. At least I clicked into gear. But at the end of the day, I'm Andy King. I'm the ultimate team player. I'm the guy that will do everything. I am for a gay guy, I'm not full of drama. I wish I was a little bit more manipulative and a little less of a listener. But hey, I had a great time. You imagine there I am in the finale with the winning box, no less. I mean, who could have thought? I mean, honestly, everybody kept saying when they wanted me to do the show, listen, you're at least going to have fun. And by episode 4 or 5, I said, I'm not having fun. This is not fun. This is really stressful. And I think I want to go home and hang out on the beach for a few weeks. But I clicked into gear. Obviously, Jack left. And oh my word, that was the turning point for me. And hey, look who I was surrounded by at the end. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And I changed the narrative, and the world knows the real Andy King now.
Exactly.
So we're in a call with the one king, Andy King. I want to talk to the king of the face-off now, Marcel. So can you let people know, because we did not realize this face-off game was going to end up becoming a key part of getting to the end. What's the key to the face-off? How did you figure this out? How did it work for you?
I just wanted to be confusing the entire time, and that I think it really worked out that way. I was really, really hoping that we would do a 1v1 face-off at some point, because it's like the carrot in the box thing, where it's just like I have the carrot, you have the carrot, and I really wanted to like highlight my strategy on confusing the other player in that. I don't know. There's a couple of times before going into the face-off day where I would be like, hey, no matter what, I'm going to stay safe. I would tell people like what I was going to say. So I don't know. I just really wanted to be confusing and just like the opposite, like if I have it, be nervous and stuff like that. I don't know. I just wanted to hard to read face. I don't get him. I don't understand, and just lie my ass off or tell the truth. I tell the truth really hard. I don't know.
While we're talking about like maybe obscuring or lack thereof, Chris, I want to talk about you in anonymous mode because it's really interesting to sort of track your progress. Where when we get into the lipstick phase, a lot of people are clocking you, and then to the point that once we get into the third phase, Andy is like purposely trying to do Chrissy things, and the thought of okay, everyone knows that Chris is maybe not necessarily obscuring his identity. Was that something that you, when did you find out about that? And how did you make those adjustments in the last phase of like, all right, I am coming in way too hot as myself in anonymous mode?
Well, for me, it started off at the very beginning. I mean, if y'all have seen half the stuff I said is donut, that's why everybody knew I was donut too. Okay. And then lipstick, I was like, I'm not going to change my strategy. I want every single person to know who I am in anonymous mode because my strategy in the game was not about me as an individual. I had an alliance and I was in a large alliance the entire game, right? So, and at the end of the day, the anonymous power goes to one person, right? And they have the ability to eliminate one person for one day. As long as there's somebody that's more threatening than me or their handle nobody knows about, and it's like, oh my God, they have anonymous power. Because they knew I didn't have it for the first, 2 weeks of the game. So I'm not as much of a threat to anybody else. And I don't care about getting the power. I just want a chance to be there at the end to win the game. And then I knew when Dylan was going to send me home if he had gotten the anonymous that night. So Andy and I had a little private chat and Marcel, and we sat down and I said, Andy, what should I do? And he goes, change the game. He said, it's go time. And me getting competitive takes about half a second because I want to run through people and put them in the dirt. And that's just how I am when it comes to competition. And so I said, okay, it's go time. So instead of being this ruthless asshole in the chat or being the same person I am in life in the chat, right, I'm going to come in here and I'm only going to give T-puns. And Marcel started that with me because of Snake. He started hissing and doing all kinds of stuff. And I said, ooh, that's great. So I would come into the chat every day, and the first thing I said was, the tea is hot. That's all. I didn't say anything else. And we would get back to the house for like, tea sucks. I hate tea. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Tea sucks. Tea is awful. And so I had to change my strategy up. And I went from dead last with lipstick to very first. Yep. One anonymous the next day, took Dylan out. So it was just about me getting to the finale because if you give me a chance to win, then there's a high percentage chance I can.
I want to talk to Andy real quick here. So, Andy, you mentioned at the beginning, you're out here, kind of the punching bag. You're getting nominated left, right, and center. Your name, Jack keeps throwing your name out there. And then there's like this little bit of time where like legitimately everyone else is catching nominations and you're chilling. How did it feel to go from that to then there?
I honestly thought that someone whispered to somebody and said, people need to keep away from Andy for a little while. I'm like, this is why, what has happened? Where it went totally. And then ironically, I felt left out. I'm like, what? I'm not on the chopping block? No one likes me. Put me back on the chopping block. And then, of course, Nina go, Andy, come on. You don't want to be on the chopping block. I'm like, I don't know. They're not talking about me. They don't like me anymore. It's like, just relish the moment. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I think it gave me the opportunity as we started to get some new handles to kind of click into a different gear. And I think that helped because I'm telling you, I'm like, there I am. I'm the guy that makes the world happy. I'm the guy that brings great things to people. And how is it that for the first 4 or 5 episodes, everybody wanted me gone? And I'm like, what have I done? This is not what I thought was going to happen. And I circled around. I'm like, wow, okay. Started to quiet down a little bit. I'm like, the coast is clear. And then obviously it started to hit again. But I definitely felt left out. And I'm like, Andy, pull yourself together and click into a new gear. You could actually win this game. I'm like, wow, I didn't come here to win. I just came here to change the narrative and have people get to know the real Andy King. So yeah, that little pause I think it definitely helped me, but I definitely started to feel a little left out.
there was definitely a moment like in the entire like house that like putting a vote on Andy was just considered a throwaway vote. Like you didn't want to upset someone else.
Yep.
Just put a vote on Andy. You know what I mean? Like, but he's up there like sweating bullets. We're like, Andy, you're safe. We just didn't know who to vote for. You know what I mean?
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, then
Mars-
everybody whispered, Andy, you're not going home. Don't worry. I'm like, all right, I trust you. Okay.
You have no other choice at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcel Pooya understandably called you the king of the face-offs, but we have to talk about the moment you were deposed in a manner of speaking. You hold all the power. You have all the boxes in front of you. Let's talk about this $80,000 decision. Talk to me about what went on in your mind that made you decide in that moment to go with your gut and pick that new box.
God, I hate that this was cut. There was a moment where Nina asked Andy this very specific question. Andy, if I take your box, will it be the same result as I took your box last time? And Andy said yes. And when she took Andy's box, it was a bad box the first time. But then Bisma took her box and she ended up being safe. So, and I was sitting there playing that over in my mind. I couldn't remember exactly how that played out. And I'm like faced with this decision. There's a time crunch. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I looked at that silver box and I was like, this is the first time I've seen this silver box. The silver box is calling my name. And Nina, she did a good job of hiding her face. Christopher was being Christopher. Andy was talking about buying a Lamborghini. And I was just like, and I was like, either Nina has it or this is the winning box. And there's the whole, you're faced with 3 doors. You pick a door, and then they reveal that that's a losing door, and then are you supposed to pick a new box or a new door? Like there's that whole math question. You're supposed to pick a new door. I was like, it's either here or here. Math, I should take the new box, and I chose it, and I chose wrong. Nina crushed it, and as soon as I grabbed it, I looked at her and I mouthed congratulations because I knew I fucked up.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Last quick thing I want to ask. I'd be remiss if I didn't just do a quick check-in. Chris, I know that there were some promises made on camera about what you do when you landed and a trip to Georgia or anything. We'd heard a little bit about Victoria's side of the story, but just to get it from both parties, what's the status of everything?
We are not together. We have not been together for a while. We tried to work on some things after the show. We live 2 very, very, very different lifestyles, and that just is what it is. I mean, it was great while it happened, and but it's like life goes on, and I'm teaching kids how to fish, and that's what I love to do at the end of the day. So let's get it.
Well, I was happy that we got the chance to cast our lines today and talk with you 3 big catches right now. I mean, the role that each of you brought was so much fun, and getting to see all of you build to this climactic finale. I mean, this was a brand new show, and I think it was largely successful because of the stuff that you guys were able to bring from the beginning to the end. So thank you for your charitability, not only with this wild brand new game, but for taking the time to chat with us today as well.
Hey,
We appreciate you guys greatly.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. All the best to you and yours, and looking forward to what happens next in the future for you all. Thanks so much again.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all. Take it easy.
Thank you.
guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.
All right. Here we are with 2 of the biggest forces in the Anonymous, Lily and Victoria. How are you both doing right now?
I might. I don't know what to say.
No, I'm doing fine. We're both children of God, so we can't complain.
Well, there's a lot to get into as we open up the scripture that was the course of the Anonymous. I mean, Lily, Marcel called you the Lil Reaper. Like, it's so interesting to see your arc coming from someone that really felt on the outs in the beginning to, according to some people, being one of the biggest threats to win to the point that you're taken out in 6th place. Talk to me about this. Was this a perception that you knew about?
Yeah, well, yes, it was a perception that everybody knew about because Marcel was not quiet about trying to paint this picture that I'm this little gremlin, which I don't know, maybe I was, but I didn't really think it was that bad. And then after all, I was like, you know what, Marcel, maybe you're doing me a disservice by saying this because now people might be looking at me in a different type of way.
It was very fascinating to see you move from your first avatar to then being the robot. It felt like a whole new life was breathed into you. How did it feel to get the rebrand opportunity at that point?
The rebrand opportunity for me was brilliant. It was everything I needed, especially with the addition of Victoria, Bisma, and Wayne. I felt like I was able to kind of, like you said, rebrand myself. And although it felt really shitty to, be putting up people that I felt like I was aligned with, that was the only way that I thought I was going to be able to get closer to the Anonymous and to get power and to remain unidentifiable in the game.
Yeah, so as you said, with that refresh came a new face in the form of Victoria. So I'm curious, from your perspective, did you know you were coming in later than some of the other players? And how did that change the way you approach things, considering that you were walking into a live situation?
Well, I knew, I mean, yes, I guess you could say I knew I was coming in a little bit later. And so once I had that knowledge under my belt, like we didn't know, like the new players didn't know anything that had happened prior. So I had to like really kind of change the game up. And it's like, if I'm going to come into the game, I have to make a splash and like of who I am, or I'm just going to be like quiet and hide amongst the bushes. So I felt like I did a little bit of both. Like, I kind of made a splash with some things, and then I kind of like kept it chill a lot of the time in the house. I wasn't really like that crazy or outlandish, but so I just played a little bit of like the chill and the crazy side to make a mark and make friends in the house. Like me and Lily like are tight outside the domain. Like that's my girl.
Yeah. Of the three people that came in, Victoria, if I told somebody Victoria came in later, they wouldn't believe it. You kind of fit in like a glove and
Yeah.
you had a couple anonymous moments. You like really took control. It all begins with your friendship formed with Christopher that early. How did y'all two connect so quickly?
Well, I feel like we could all talk about Vista for this, Vista for that. But like, let's talk about Victoria here. Like, I felt like I was like swindling the house. Like, I was making friends, I was making connections right from the get-go. I remember like the first thing I heard Andy said he was from Charleston within the first 2 minutes. So I started making like friendships and connections like right off the bat. So I just felt like that really helped me in the game. Obviously, there's things you don't see because it's only can fit into an hour time slot, but I think, outside of what you see on TV, I was making like those pivotal connections, and I feel like that's really what brought me far in the game. And it just wasn't with just one person. It was with like everyone. And
Yeah.
Lily and I had some really deep moments too. So, it's awesome what you see on TV. But also there's more gameplay than what you see.
Totally understand that. I mean, Lily, from your perspective, as we mentioned, like you get your own sort of makeover in the form of this profile, and that's where we see you form some bonds, whether it's with Bisma, whether it's with Nina, even though you are voting for her every time as robot. So talk to me about that. Who are some of your most key relationships that contributed to your longevity in the game?
Well, I think Victoria said it best. I think she was clearly a very underestimated player because she was linked to Christopher. And so people kind of just saw her as like almost just like a side piece, something pretty to look at. But as we can see in the game, she did like all that and more. And she was obviously brilliant. And so me aligning myself and connecting with Victoria actually clearly benefited me, two times over, considering, I think I probably was on the chopping block both times that she eliminated. So I mean, aligning myself with powerful women, I think really helped me get far.
Mm.
Appreciate
Uh,
that, Lou.
yeah. So Victoria, one, decision away, one Marcel Anonymous session away from being able to make that final round table, that final face off. I mean, looking back, was it a surprise to you? What did you think your chances were, given the fact that there was so much talk about you and Chris as a pair?
I mean, coming in as a newbie, you always know the OGs are going to stick for each other. So I knew like it was a slim shot for me getting into the final four. But, I just didn't get a proper goodbye. I guess if I got a proper goodbye, I would have been too iconic for the show if they would have known I like Mike dropped Robbie and Jack out of the game. But, it is what it is. Like, I think I played the game. I played it hard. I left a mark. And that's what it is. Marcel did what he had to do. I have no hate to Marcel, but I wish the game didn't game so hard so I could have stayed in the final four, final face off.
I have the same question for both of you. So, Victor, you can answer first. Who
Yeah.
was, after it was all said and done, which avatar was the most surprising to you? Like, who was the best, I guess, at concealing who they were to you?
Robot. Yeah, honestly, Lily, I don't think I ever matched you to Robot ever. Like, I remember when you dropped that handle, like once you like said your goodbye, I was like, dang, that was boss move. Like you were underestimated as well. I love that. Robot was very iconic. The whole time I thought it was Nina voting for herself, but yeah, I never paired Robot with Lily.
Wow. Oh gosh, I'm honored. I don't know. I think yeah, Robot definitely was an alter ego. I really had to pull out the strings for that one because I said a lot of gnarly things in the chat that are completely opposite to my character and who I am. So, yeah, that one was definitely controversial. As far as for me, what handle was the most surprising? I honestly, like, I was surprised almost, well, majority of the time for the eliminations that I witnessed. I think Popsicle was one that I really had a hard time figuring out who that one was. So Popsicle was really difficult for me when I watched it back and found out that Victoria was Ghost and Marcel was Crown. Obviously, that was like, oh my God, how did I not know? Like, so I think those three handles, and I can't forget Christopher being T. Never in a million years would have thought that he was T.
Well, you spilled some tea on the way out. I know Victoria had said that she wished that she had, some words to mince on the way out. But we got our fair share in the form of you, Lily, in particular when it came to some cross thoughts on Chris, if you will. I mean, talk to me about what was going through your head as you were on your way out the door and what led to you saying that.
You couldn't have convinced me otherwise that day that Christopher did not send me home because when
Hmm.
I got eliminated, I said like, gosh, I really wish like I knew who it was. And Nina and Victoria told me it wasn't them, and Marcel pointed at Victoria and Christopher. And so with all of that, like all of the visuals that I witnessed and that happening, and also what I felt that I knew in the moment that Christopher didn't trust me, I was more than convinced that Christopher had sent me home. And yeah, I was more than bitter about it too, as you could tell. Yeah, not happy about that.
That's what we love about reality TV. Was again, you both were like, ironically enough, in a game where you are playing up to three anonymous profiles, you were unabashedly yourselves from the way you walked in to the way you walked out. So it only makes sense at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. I kind of did him a little dirty in that in that point, but I don't know. I mean, when you're in the moment, it felt like I said, you couldn't have convinced me otherwise that it wasn't Christopher.
Yeah. Now, look, Victoria, you said some very salient things about how obviously like you played your own game, etc. We'd be remiss not to ask about the epilogue to the story of you and Christopher. I mean, he does say at one point, as soon as I land, I'm going straight to Georgia. That was a little while ago. So give us the update if there is one. How are things going?
We don't talk. Yeah, we don't talk. I'm doing my own thing. I guess he's in North Carolina and I'm in Florida and I'm just living my life. I think things are different when you're in a reality TV show space in a domain. This was a very first for me and a lot of new feelings when it came to friendships and potential relationships, I guess you can say. But I mean, no offense, I wasn't on a reality competition show to be the Bachelorette. So I mean, I coming out of the show, I was like, okay, everything kind of just subsided and things were revealed, and I'm better off just being Victoria, not Vistifer, and I like it that way.
There we go. Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Well, thank you both for coming in and again bringing yourselves to all of this, much like you did in the roundhouse and the square house proper. This was a great time to get both of your takes on again a very up and down journey throughout your time in the game, and it was such a pleasure getting to not only watch you but talk to you today.
We
Oh, thank you
appreciate it.
so much.
You.
Yeah, of course. All the best to you and yours, and thank you so much again. Have a great day.
You too. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Pooya.